It's Wednesday. You know what that means? It's Art Chew Day. It's one of my favorite coffee cups, one of my Monopoly cups. I've talked before about how I like to collect things that are vintage and from the 50s and 60s and 70s. But something else that I collect, two other things that I collect, martini glasses, but that's for another topic for another day. And Monopoly stuff. I have probably 20 actual game sets, but they're ones that I have selected. I've had people give me Monopoly type gifts, such as this mug and, little tchotchkes, tins, and I have some socks, I have some Monopoly slippers, different stuff like that. But as far as the actual game sets, I like to purchase those myself because I'm afraid that I'm going to end up with Catopoly or, Texasopoly. As much as Texas is wonderful, I really don't want the game set. And those are by a lot of those are by a company called USAopoly. And I like the ones that are from Parker Brothers / Hasbro. So, there's your bit of useless information for this morning, simply because I had my Uncle Pennybags coffee mug. And I'm drinking chock full of nuts, Midtown Manhattan blend. And it's early. I gotta tell you what happened this morning. I got up with the kids. Everything was fairly regular. Everybody was in a good mood. We did breakfast. We got out the door. I got my daughter to school. On Wednesdays, my son goes to preschool, and then he goes to Parents' Day Out after that at the same building, same location. And so I got ready to go to the gym, which is typically what I do after I drop them off, because that's when I have the most energy. I've had breakfast, I've had my coffee, I've had my medication, and so we'll get to the gym, and I usually will exercise for about an hour. I got my son to school, and I kept thinking, I got stuff to do. I just don't want to do it. So I didn't even go. And realized after I had dropped him off that I hadn't stopped to brush my teeth. That was lovely. They felt like they were wearing a fur coat. So I dropped him off and came back to the house. Brushed my teeth. I'm still in my gym clothes. My Three Olives vodka shirt. That's appropriate. And I got new tennis shoes this week, and I love them. They're Under Armour. They're super comfortable. Probably the lightest tennis shoe I've ever worn. And I always try to be conscious about where stuff is made and where it's bought, but this time I was like, I just need a tennis shoe. I'm not doing a bunch of scanning and all that mess that kind of sometimes goes into it. And I know that's probably lazy on my part, but I love these tennis shoes. They're super comfortable. And we live in a college town. Texas Tech is in Lubbock. It's a Big 12 school. And it's what all the athletes wear. Probably because they get it for free, but whatever. Anyway, so that's how the morning has gone. It's only 8:45 here, Central Standard Time, at Griffin Art, deep in the heart of West Texas. I forgot to say that. So there you go. Have a little sip. The happiest thing I have to talk to you about this week is that I got some happy mail from my sweet, sweet friend Sylvia. Sylvia lives in Arizona. I will give you some Linky Love to Sylvia's YouTube channel. I met Sylvia on a Google Plus community called the Crafters Community. I talk about them all the time. Love that place. Love those folks. Some of the nicest, most inspiring people I've ever had the opportunity to be around. And Sylvia did our Craft It Live show last week, and showed us all about how she makes jewelry. I don't make jewelry. It seems extremely difficult to me. But she made it look easy, and she showed off a pair of earrings. And I was chatting along in the sidebar with the other people who were watching the live stream, and I said, "Oh, Sylvia, those look great. I would wear those. I haven't seen anything like that before." And I got a message from her later, and she said, "Could I send you those earrings?" And I was blown away. And they came in the mail yesterday. Look at them. They're sterling, kind of a diamond shape. How beautifully lovely are these? They're so simple. They're going to look great. I don't have them on right now, but I'm going to wear them soon to something or in something. I just think they're fantastic. Thank you so much, Sylvia. That was just delightful of you, and I'm thrilled that we have gotten to know one another. So that was sweet. Sylvia used to have an Etsy shop. I don't know if she still does. I'll check with her. If she does, I'll give you a link to that too, so you can see some of the other lovely things that she made. And her videos are really good. I have to tell you, Sylvia was one of the first people that drew me to the crafters community. I had heard Cece talking about it a lot, and so I went and looked up some of Heather's videos, and there was this lady in the background who was saying, "Oh, that's just gorgeous. Oh, those colors are so gorgeous." And I just thought she was hysterical. And that was Sylvia, and she kind of drew me in. So she co-hosts Craft It Live with Heather every week, and we're thankful for all the work that she does and the help that she gives the crafters community. So anyway, that's that. I shopped a little this week. I haven't in a while. And the reason was I went and checked my business account, and there was money in there. I thought there was like $10 in that account. And so I decided to use it. And I have some cool news about Griffin for later on. But here's the stuff that I purchased. I got a couple of new Pebeo Studio paints. I am in love with these acrylics. The Pebeo Iridescent Dyna. I got the Iridescent Green Yellow and the Iridescent Payne's Gray, which is actually not gray at all. It's more of a navy blue. These are absolutely beautiful. Not necessarily together. They're okay together. This green I like with the Pebeo Iridescent Green Blue. I like those together. They blend very nicely. And if you're looking for numbers, the green blue is $3.58. The green yellow is $3.59. That's probably why they look so nice together, because they're right there together. And the Payne's Gray is $40. These were ordered from Blitzy. I can't find anybody in town that stocks these. The only way I've been able to find these is to order them. Hobby Lobby has some Pebeo items, but it's not these paints. It's sort of pouring medium and trays and odd things, stuff that I didn't know anything about. So those are lovely. Those came this week. I got a couple of new stencils. I don't know if you'll be able to see these because I took it out of the package. This is by Prima. This is a crackle stencil, a 6x6 square. That's neat. I got a Julie Bowser one for the Crafters Workshop. Some leaves. This actually looks like more of a mask to me, but I plan to use this with my jelly plate. This was also, I took it out of the package also. This was also a Crafters Workshop, 6x6. And one more from Prima. And this one looks a little bigger than 6x6. No, it's 6x6. Some flowers. And does it have an actual name? I don't see one. Anyway, so I got a couple of stencils and a couple of new tubes of paint. The big thing that I've been purchasing lately is paper. Not new paper to me, but we kind of had talked about it in the crafters community. We've been talking about wax paper and tissue paper and Tim Holtz tissue paper versus Canvas Corp versus regular gift tissue paper. And what it comes down to is the Tim Holtz one is a lot stronger and it feels almost like wax paper. I'm not going to go into that, but our conversation turned to jelly printing. which is mono printing without a press. You use a plate to do it. And what would jelly printing look like on the Tim Holtz tissue? So here's one of my jelly prints on the Tim Holtz tissue. The tissue already has this music and the sort of moth thing on it. That stuff's already on here. These parts up here were not jelly printed. I did the background and the alphabet on top of it with those Pebeo Dynas. There you can see that shine. And that turned out very cool. I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but I will find something for that. And then I did on another piece with not the Dynas, not Pebeo Dynas, and this got a little muddled. I tried to stencil over the design that was already in the paper, and that didn't turn out so great. You can't really see the stencil. So I'm going to say that the Tim Holtz tissue paper will jelly plate just fine. It takes the paint fine. But you want to use a larger stencil or no stencil at all and just background paint it. I went to my local art supply store yesterday. For any of you here in town, local people that watch Art Chew, it is in the Varsity Bookstore in the back, which is over by the Tech campus. It is a branch of Azel Art Supply out of Dallas. They keep all of the art and architecture students at Tech stocked up, and they have some really great things. I didn't buy anything too exciting. I bought an ounce of Titan Buff from Golden because I was out and I really like that color. So I bought an ounce of that. And it's one of two places in town that carries Golden. The other one is Michael's. I bought some moleskins. These are a red color. And this is a 3-pack of squared. So it's got grid in it. My bullet journal, which is over here, is also a moleskin. It's a thick softcover moleskin. But this one is just gridded, dotted, I think is how they call it. And I wanted the grid, the squared. So I got some of these. This was a 3-pack. It was $13. And I like to use these in church or in settings where I need to be paying attention, but I have my hands doing something. I doodle a lot and journal a lot when I need to be listening and paying attention, because that way my hands and mind are not kind of going like this. I'm a little more focused. So I got this 3-pack. They're red. Yeah, like those. Moleskins hold up well. And I've used some off-brand moleskins that hold up well also. I like the size. I like the thickness. They're very transportable. And for some reason, I was on a paper kick. I had been hunting for some Bristol, and I wasn't sure what kind I wanted until I found the Canson Artist Series Bristol on clearance at the art supply store. Ta-da! This is 9x12, 100-pound with Bristol finish. And Bristol is got sort of a vellum finish on it. It's nice and smooth. There's not a bunch of texture to it. This is excellent for lettering. And I don't normally do pieces this big. I'll cut this up probably and use it because it's easier to go for. This I got this for $6. So that was very nice. And that was all I bought at the art supply store. I did go over to Target last night on a whim. I don't go to Target a whole lot, and I don't know why. I always like it. I used to in Houston because that was all that was by my house. Anyway, I help lead my daughter's Girl Scout troop, and I'm so excited because next week is spring break, so we won't meet. But after spring break, the older girls, the juniors and the brownies, are going to start working on their art badges, and I get to help lead that portion. I'm so excited. So I picked up a pad of paper, medium weight paper, I started going through my paper here because I was just going to use paper that I had here, but I didn't have quite enough and I wanted it to be consistent. I didn't want to give them all different kinds of paper. So I picked up some drawing paper. This is a medium weight. Is it going to tell me the weight? It's 9 by 12. 40 sheets. No, it doesn't tell me the weight. I figured that it would. Anyway, we're going to start with colored pencils, and we're going to work on shading and light and talk about how light hits objects and makes shadows, and that's going to be our first lesson. I'm very excited. And I have a couple of girls, my juniors, that I work with regularly. I've had the chance to work with them with soft pastels and some other things, a different project, different badge we were working on, and they're gung-ho. I'm very excited for them. Also at Target, I found these chipboard stencils. These were on clearance for $3. I haven't even opened the package, but on the package it shows them stenciling on lampshade and walls on the back here and the pillow. They're pretty heavy. They're chipboard, but it's gonna show me down here what patterns are in there. There's a big mandala, some flowers, some vines. And even if they don't hold up really, really long, like if I can't stencil with them a whole lot, I can paint them and stick them on something. Let's open it up and take a look. Does this qualify as open the box? Probably not. Oh, okay. There they are. They're thick. They're fairly thick chipboard. They're white. Got sort of a glossy finish. If I was going to paint this, I probably would want to gesso it first if I was going to use it for something. But I think those are kind of neat. I think those will make a neat background. It's for $3. How many of them are in here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6. And this is, I think this is an in-house Target brand. Handmade Modern. Yeah, this is their house brand of art supplies, but a bunch of these Handmade Modern things were on clearance, and so I picked that up. And then on a tip from my friend Wiki, who is Vicky Ross, she had a haul video last week from Target, and she picked up some of this lightweight mixed paper, and I did as well. It was also on clearance. $3. This is 45 sheets, 11 by 14, and this is 72 pound for drawing. And they've also got a 96 pound Bristol and a 50 pound sketch. So there's all kinds, and there's even some dark pieces in there. There's a piece of black in here. That might be fun with a white jelly roll. And there you go. Lots of paper this week. Not too much paint, not too much glue. I haven't really had a need for any of that stuff. Just the two pieces, the two paints from Pebeo. I've been doing a lot of lettering lately. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please do. I participate in a couple of different challenges over there, and one that I'm doing is a lettering challenge, and they give you a different prompt each week, and it's you don't win anything, and it's not for anything, but to see other hand lettering artists work, and get to know some people. So the first challenge was to letter the title of your favorite movie. And I moved that. Hold on. Anybody who's known me any length of time knows that one of my favorite films in the entire universe is Almost Famous. Cameron Crowe directed film with Kate Hudson and Patrick Fugit, Billy Crudup, and Jason Lee. So there was my Almost Famous with the daisy in the background. It seemed to fit. That was last week. This week the challenge was to use a pencil, just your pencil. And so this is the one I did for this week. It says, "You are beautiful." This was quick and easy, and I used a Pentel twist erase in a 0.5 with a 0.5 lead. This is a very nice mechanical pencil, not expensive. And then I did a piece just on my own because I wanted to experiment with shapes and kerning, which is the space between letters, and proportion. It's not perfect. This is a quote from Pink Floyd, the song Wish You Were Here. Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts? And I'm sending this to my friend Billy because I sent him a text of it and he asked me to send it to him. That's our kind of our thing, him and me. So that's going to Billy. Other lettering that has been taking place. I'm getting a little, you don't want that. I'm getting a little more used to using a brush pen. And a brush pen, brush markers really eluded me for a long time because I'm not used to the tip being so soft. The nib is not a full-on brush. There are some that are full-on brushes, or you can write with actual calligraphy brushes. But a brush tip marker, the nib is very soft, and I am working with the positioning of my hand, with the pressure on downstrokes versus upstrokes, stuff like that. So I have my test sheet. I was practicing with this. And I did a little thing that said maybe brush pens aren't so bad. But you know, it just is a matter of practice. You have to do it every day. So I'm working to do a little something on that every day. Exciting news. A friend of mine here in town asked me to collaborate on the artwork for her new paperback. She's an author. And so I've had a lot of fun. I won't go into a bunch of details because that's really her news, and we'll wait to see how our collaboration turns out. But I'm very excited. I'm using some artwork from her son. I've had the chance to digitize some of my own hand lettering, which is very cool. I use Adobe Illustrator for that, and a little bit of Photoshop to clean up my scans once I scan things in. So that's been awesome. That's my big project this week. I have a meeting with her tomorrow, so I want to have a couple of things to show her. And other than that, that's about where I am this week. I hope you're having a good week. I am, and that's about all I got. You know, get out there, do something, make something, and remember to give love.